Hello, my name is Steve.
I'm David.
And you're listening to Anime Plus. We are continuing our journey through the melancholy of Haruhi Suzumiya. This week, we are going to wrap up the first arc of Haruhi with episodes 5 and 6. Haruhi is fired up with the sudden transfer of Asakura. She didn't really transfer, she got removed from the system. But, you know, you gotta make it seem like things are normal.
Deleted from existence.
So Haruhi, being the great detective that she is, figures out where Asakura used to live and drags Kyon with her to go investigate. Kyon is very familiar with the apartment building because Asakura lives in the same apartment building that Nagato does. After a lot of back and forth, social engineering and whatnot, she has to end her search only partially satisfied. And as they're leaving, they cross paths with Nagato. Nagato just nods to answer any of Haruhi's questions, but as Kyon passes her, she warns him to be careful. After a long day with Haruhi, Kyon returns home to try to relax, but is ambushed by Koizumi, who has informed him that he is able to prove his abilities to him and would like Kyon to join him. They hop into a conveniently timed taxi and head into the city. On the way to their destination, Koizumi essentially info dumps even more on Kyon, further trying to convince him that Haruhi controls some latent ability to rewrite reality. After an amount of time of general stability within the god that would be, recently she's been a bit more emotionally unstable, and that instability lends itself to supernatural aberrations. To cut to the chase, Koizumi is blaming Kyon for the instability within Haruhi's mind and emotions. And when they get to their destination, Koizumi shows him what these instabilities manifest as they enter what's referred to as closed space, which is a section of the real world that is isolated from the real world. The only people that are there are the two of them, and then this giant being of light shows up and begins kaijuing all over the cityscape. And that's where Koizumi shows off his abilities and the abilities of the organization that he's a part of. They're essentially have been tasking themselves with going into these closed spaces and combating these giants because they fear if left alone, the space would continue to grow and potentially overwrite the world. And how Haruhi is tied into all of this? Apparently they are manifesting from Haruhi's emotional instability. So hours later, after the success of the mission and the verifiable proof that Koizumi is not lying to Kyon, at least in some regards, Kyon finally returns home to, I'm sure, a very sleepless night as he mulls over these strange occurrences of reality that he's now found himself within. The next day at school, he finds Haruhi to be, uneasy?
Melancholic. Roll credits.
Haruhi is dissatisfied and appears to take out her aggression on Asahina's hair as she spends the entire time that they're in the club room redoing different hairstyles as Asahina sits there trembling in fear. That night, Kyon finds himself in a very strange dream that is eerily similar to the situation he dealt with Koizumi in the closed space. He is violently woken awake by Haruhi, and they are within a closed space that is encompassing their school. Kyon's realized that this probably isn't a dream, and Haruhi obviously has no idea what's going on. They end up going to the club room, but Haruhi, being unable to sit still, decides that she's going to start patrolling the school trying to find other things. This is when a ghostly version of Koizumi shows up to give Kyon the rundown of what's going on. Both of them have been trapped inside of a closed space that is different from the closed space his organization usually works with, and it took the entire might of a bunch of his co-workers to just get this ephemeral astral projection of him into the closed space to at least give him a warning. They're thinking that the thing they feared the most, which is Haruhi just through ennui rewriting all of reality, is happening right now. And it's up to Kyon to save the world. Oh, and Asahina also says, I'm sorry, and Nagato says, turn on the computer. All this happens while Haruhi is still stomping around the school grounds. Via the club computer, Nagato has a conversation with Kyon, at least as long as she can, telling him that her faction has kind of lost hope because the data entity has now realized that it will never attain the ability that Haruhi has, which is essentially generation of matter from nothingness, and it is incapable of matching that ability. But it's up to Kyon to reverse the damage and rewriting that's happening. And he is reminded of not necessarily Snow White, but of Sleeping Beauty. And that's when the giant beings of light show up and begin to trash the school ground, which does nothing but excite and enthrall Haruhi, who returns in amazement. And Kyon's like, I don't want to be in the building when they hit it, so you and I, girlie, we gotta bounce. Haruhi is the most excited he has probably ever seen her, and she is enjoying every moment of this. And something is telling her that she wants to remain here, and is quite okay with Kyon being the only one with her. Kyon keeps protesting, she keeps resisting, and then he does the Sleeping Beauty thing and gives the sleeping princess a kiss to snap her back into reality. At which point he finds himself laying on his floor in his bedroom. And then he goes to school with a cloud over his head from the previous night's dream to find that Haruhi is wearing a ponytail and then complaining of a terrible nightmare she had the night before. And the reason she's in a ponytail is he confessed to her while they were in closed space that he has a ponytail fetish. At which point, Kyon knows everything's going to be okay. So the post-credit scene deals with the three representatives of the factions congratulating Kyon on a job well done saving reality. And then we get a date of sorts at the end of it with a disgruntled Haruhi and Kyon as the rest of the brigade members called in sick to their weekly round.
They did that on purpose.
This is the end of the first story arc, The Melancholy of Haruhi Suzumiya. Next week, we'll move on to a different arc, kind of. Actually, it's more one-shots for a couple of weeks. This is probably a good point to do a dive into this. What do you think is causing Haruhi's fluctuating emotional state currently?
Feelings for Kyon.
You got it, which is why Asahina apologized, because she feels
I realized that when she got upset that she didn't get paired with Kyon.
The idea is that the closed space of their school was generated when Haruhi came into the class or into their club room to see Asahina glomming all over Kyon at the computer as he was trying to avoid her seeing the risque pictures of her he stored on there. And yes, their first day of exploring the city when they were drawing lots, she was visibly upset each time that she wasn't getting paired with Kyon. And Koizumi has tried to slyly clue Kyon in on that fact as well, but he is refusing to accept it.
Well, he's accepted it now.
No, he has definitely not accepted it now.
Okay. Man's dense.
I think at this point, Kyon recognizes it, but isn't willing to accept it or deal with it. He is I think at this point, he has been convinced enough that he is the key to her mental stability. And so now he is going to be responsible for dancing the monkey dance and keeping the girl entertained.
Chimp brain activate.
It's not like he's Taniguchi.
Yeah. That guy's also an idiot.
One of the things that you can say about Taniguchi is he is someone you would say is too stupid to catch a cold.
He'd fit in perfectly in Ranma 1/2. All those kids are idiots.
All right, so we're done with the first arc. What are your thoughts so far on the series and the world of Haruhi Suzumiya?
I wanted to keep watching after this episode.
We'll get there. We're doing 2 episodes at a crack. The next couple of episodes are amusing. Well, thanks for joining us as we keep moving through the world that is Haruhi. She is a fickle god who can't admit that she likes a boy in her class and then lets her uncontrolled ability to rewrite reality be influenced by these teenage emotions. Haruhi is like the worst case scenario for adolescent syndrome.
Oh, God. Yeah.
I've talked about how this show and the Rascal series feel similar to me.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think there's any credence to that at this point?
Kinda. It's not a 1-to-1, but...
No. To me, they've always kind of felt like they exist in the same kind of wheelhouse.
There's definitely the same overconfident protagonist who has moments of weakness.
Kyon is very much less motivated to do things than Sakuta is.
Yes.
Like, Kyon is a slacker if he could be, but he begrudgingly can't slack as much as he wants to. Because for some reason, the fate of the world is in his hands.
He's got to keep a fickle deity entertained.
Dance, monkey, dance.
He is the wet dream of a deity.
Yes.
He is her himbo. I don't know if I could handle the pressure of being a deity's boy toy.
Or at least, current object of interest.
I think it's far more than an object of interest.
And he's not wrong telling her that we can't stay here, because I'm sure there was something in the back of his head knowing that this girl would get bored with it eventually, and then it would have not
And he
mattered.
would have ceased to exist.
Yeah, and then, the loss that was incurred would have been for naught.
It's like, oh, God, I like how Koizumi is just like, y'all could procreate.
Dude, it's like the end of Evangelion.
Yeah, oh my God.
They're the two remaining, and they have to populate the planet. I mean, he did wake up to her strangling him,
And
essentially.
Kyon's just like...
Get off me, girl.
Stop it.
This would be great, just us two. It's like, what about everybody else? Yeah, I'm sure it'll work out somehow.
Wow.
Eternally optimistic, yet unfazed by anything. Be sure to check out the regular episodes of the podcast that come out on Fridays. We are currently reviewing 3 different series this season: Kirio Fan Club, Rooster Fighter, and Demons of the Shadow Realm. Otherwise, we'll check you guys next week for the next segment of the Melancholy of Haruhi Suzumiya.